Our prayer is to stop all cruelty to animals. I wish every animal in the world were as well off as Katie Kitten. I wish everybody in the world was as well off as we are, or even better. I didn't tell you about words. We study words 15 minutes a day, and it's fascinating. It's just fascinating. Some of the words you say, oh, well, that's common, you know, everybody knows that word. But it's the meaning of it. When you read the definition, it brings it right into focus. And there's a word for everything, if you know them. So last night, I reviewed 1 to 10, 11 to 12. 1 to 10 is abandon to abecedarian. 11 to 20 is aberration to abominable.
Curing that. Well, that's exactly. They asked for already.
To make these dubs, and there were 12 editions. But 12 half hours, there's that much information, and you're seeing only a half hour of it. There's 11 other half hours. It's a perfect day, perfect winter day. Well, it's fall really, and the wrapping has started. That will take all day today, Sunday, December 8th. But first, we will worship God and sing praises to God and go to the Hopewell Reformed Church. Hello, Franklin.
Good morning.
Where are you going?
To church.
Where?
Reformed Church.
Okay.
Over
All right, it's 9 o'clock. You'll get there in time. Isn't it pretty? I'm really upset that my woods animals didn't come and eat their bread last night. Dedicating this few minutes to Raj at Time Warner Cable TV in the city of Poughkeepsie. He made special mention how he likes the rides. He likes to go for the ride in the Lincoln. So we'll take him for a ride on this beautiful, perfect morning. Here we are out into the world. I would like to go to the nearby church, but for Franklin's happiness, we'll go all the way down to Hopewell Church. The laundromat's busy this morning. Of lights Friday night through this little town. It was so nice. One float was an airplane. Huge. It was huge. So they gave away 5 prizes.
Who told you that?
Mark German, who didn't bring back the 1993 Lincoln Friday because he was working on the parade. Well, I should think that people coming up this road, this is a main road, would have been infuriated to be backed up. Now here's a church that would be so easy to go to. So, drive 53 miles. Well, we've done it about 50 times. That's right, this is the Taconic Garage. People like to ride. You like to ride, don't you, Franklin? Mexico. And in Oregon. Think of our New York State roads. This is the Taconic State Parkway, a Robert Moses Parkway. Goes from the Bronx River Parkway in North White Plains to Albany, thereabouts, or at least as far as Route 20, or at least as far as the New York State Thruway. Something like that. Bronx River Parkway starts in the Bronx, New York City. Really turns into the Taconic. I sneezed. That's bad to sneeze when you drive. You can't see, and then you lose your equilibrium. You get jerked around. Nothing to sneeze at. State Park.
Hyde Park. Is that south of Poughkeepsie?
North.
North?
And east. Hyde Park is where Franklin Delano Roosevelt lived.
That's right.
And Eleanor Roosevelt.
Money in the bank. Last month, someone asked if I read the Bible. The Bible? I'm successful, I'm happy. What do I need the Bible for? I can get more from the Wall Street Journal. But that made me curious. So I decided to take a second look.
I'm on my feet all day. When I go home, I just want to turn on the TV and relax. But read the Bible? All those these and thous and begats? Who wants to struggle with that after waiting on customers all day? But then a friend showed me this version written in modern English, and I was surprised.
This guy I play hoops with said I should start reading it, the Bible. Man, I said, I don't need no Bible. I mean, it just ain't cool. So he goes, I read it all the time. And he beat me by 20 points. So he gives me his Bible. I read it. It ain't hoops, but it ain't bad.
What's your excuse? Before you make an excuse to avoid reading the Bible, stop. Take a second look. Pick up the Bible for 5 minutes, and you may pick it up for a lifetime.
Hello and welcome to Irish Express TV. I'm Jimmy Renesh, your host.
Hi, I'm Kelly, your co-host.
On this week's show, we're going to start off with some young ladies from Long Island, New York, the Petrie School of Irish Dance, who have done a splendid job on the choreography of their dance.
The story is about some jockeys who went to Kilkenny to enter the races. The story is told through dance, and of course the name of the dance is Kilkenny Races.
Also a story about 4 jockeys and their competition at Kilkenny Races, finishing at the end with the winning jockey. So here we go with Kilkenny Races.
A short time ago, we were at an event with the President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, who gave an inspiring speech. I'd like to share that with you.
Next day, the President of Ireland, Mrs. Mary McAleese.
Mayor, distinguished guests, and friends, Carton. It's just a joy to be here. On Creeve Show Megan Mokan, Erin Last Bashir Show. It's such a privilege, it's such a pleasure to be here in New York, to be in the home of the brave. I was thinking of all, Governor Butaki and I were talking about all our Irish ancestors and our Irish families in particular, you know. They all think that we're the generation who has it made, don't they? You have it easy, they say to us. You don't know what it's like to have it hard. And sometimes they worry about, do we have it so easy? Do we have it so easy that, is there any steel in our bags, you know? Is there real spirit in our hearts? What happens when the hard days come? And they got their answer on September 11th, didn't they? They got their answer on September 11th. No time to prepare, no time to ask yourself, what kind of a hero am I? No time to ask, what kind of a person am I? Only time to dig down, to dig deep, and find what was in you as a human person. And they found it. We're so proud, as I'm sure every ancestor is, of that generation, of this generation. A generation who showed what it was like to be tested and what it was like to come through that test. I want to thank the Governor and indeed accuse him for hosting this wonderful reception, a chance for us to launch what is a very unique St. Patrick's Day. I think it's the first St. Patrick's Day that any Irish president has been here for the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York, and it seems to me that this is the right place to be today, precisely because it is such a special day. It carries a cloud of sadness, it carries its own special cloud of loneliness. Many of those who were lost on September 11th would otherwise have been marching proudly up Fifth Avenue today. And today, although there is a cloud of sadness, we find space for joy and for celebration along with commemoration, because that is how we vindicate the memory of those who died. Their distinguished service, their inspirational service. We know that their spirit marches with us. They want us to laugh as much as we would cry. They want our hearts to be full of spirit and to be full of goodness and kindness this day. So it brings pride and it brings grief. It brings memories of fantastic people. And it brings reminders of what we've lost in their going. I know, Governor, that we will continue to see this state through what are still very tough times, with strong leadership and compassionate leadership. And we remember well your reference to Holy Cross Ardoyne is not lost at all, because how many of us remember, and Father Ian Troy is here in the audience, the great champion. As they say, comes the hour, comes the man. And we remember, Governor, that you were one of the first from outside of Ireland to tell us that you cared. And believe me, it mattered in a fantastic.
Now here is Derek Warfield from the Wolf Tones singing Angels of Ireland.
I'm standing here at St. Kieran's grave on the banks of the River Shannon in Clonmacnoise, County Offaly. There has not been a greater beacon of education and Christianity for the last 2,000 years as this hallowed spot. It was in this monastery that some of the great annals of Ireland were written, and it was from this monastery that men and women left to impart the word of God to every race in Europe. It was from here the spiritual empire of the Irish spread out. It was from this spot in Clonmacnoise that all written books of Wales, Scotland and Britain and the Saxons were copied. And this song is a tribute to the men and women who brought the word of Christ, Christianity and learning to Britain. The Angels of Ireland, or The Making of Britain. St. Aidan, you journeyed with the spirit of love, with the gospel of Christ on the wings of a dove. To Lindisfarne travelled your mind to repair, to set up your church for to preach and to care. From the cross of Iona to Northumberland's coast, no worldly possessions you sought or could boast. Your success was supreme where brave men failed before, for no king or no beggar was torn from your door. For the making of Britain we'll sing love and song, when the legions of Rome were lost or long gone. And the angels of Ireland came through it their way, with the bell, book and candle, no tribute to pay. And the monks multiplied for to follow your light. Some fools came to scoff, soon knelt down with delight. With the generous spirit, nor award or demand, we have not seen the equal in no other land. Both noble and vagrant, all treated the same, with the knowledge and learning, no gold it is claimed. And your deeds and your teaching, an all-loving soul, for to bring Christian ways to all people your goal. For the making of Britain we'll sing love and song, when the legions of Rome were lost or long gone. And the angels of Ireland came through it their way, with the bell, book and candle, no tribute to pay. From the hilltops of Durham to Warwickshire's dales, tradition and story remembers the gales. From famed Inishmenop to Glastonbury came the men and the women with pure sanctity. To the clans and the chieftains in the Ireland that was, who fostered the learning, the knowledge and laws. For not since St. Piet was a voice raised in praise, since the angels of Ireland came over the waves. St. Columba, St. Canice, St. Chad and St. Cid, St. Coleman, St. Cormac, St. Cuthbert, St. Piers, St. Fursey, St. Etta, all to Ireland were lost, and the gain was the souls and the mission that was. The Apostle of England, St. Aidan above, looked down on our people with kindness and love. For not since St. Piet was a voice raised in praise, since the angels of Ireland came over the waves. For the making of Britain we'll sing love and song, when the legions of Rome were lost or long gone. And the angels of Ireland came through it their way, with the bell, book and candle, no tribute to pay. For the making of Britain we'll sing love and song, when the legions of Rome were lost or long gone. And the angels of Ireland came through it their way, with the bell, book and candle, no tribute to pay. For the making of Britain we'll sing love and song, when the legions of Rome were lost or long gone. And the angels of Ireland came through it their way.
They came to the New World in search of treasure, not realizing that their greatest riches were the very forests themselves. More precious than gold, rainforests help sustain life on our planet. That's why we must protect them now. You can help through the Arbor Day Foundation's Rainforest Rescue Program. With your help, people there can care for the forests and plant more trees. Rainforests are home to more than half of the Earth's plant and animal species, including thousands of plants that fight cancer and other diseases. They're also the winter home of our summer songbirds. More than half of the Earth's rainforests have been destroyed. The time to act is now. Go to the Arbor Day Foundation's website, arborday.org, and support Rainforest Rescue to protect the forests, more precious than gold.
It is more than a trial by fire. It is a rite of passage. And if you can master your fear, outsmart your enemy, and never yield even to yourself, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This planet we call Earth, abundant with new food, new cures, new life. An amazing place. Please don't let it vanish without a trace. Call for your free World Wildlife Fund Action Kit with 10 simple things you can do to help leave our children a living planet. Call 1-800-CALL-WWF.
Now let's hear from some...
and it's melted the snow away, and things have turned to mud. Sort of like cable TV. It took an hour to videotape today. It took 8 hours to make 7 masters. The meditation, the meditate, create backlog is erased up through this November. It's just a half a month behind. The network TV daytime is the only backlog that's left, and it's backlogged to July 31st. 10 telephone calls, 14 in and 10 out. Fed the woods animals. Somebody took away the 20 pecan nuts in the shell that we left out. That makes us very happy. We know 100 words. We started to tell them to you. 1 to 10 is abandoned through abecedarian. 11 through 20 is aberration through abominable. 21 through 30 is abort through absolution. And 31 to 40 is abstain through archive. And 41 to 50 is ardent through abstractive title. And 51 through 60 is abyss through accentuate. And 61 to 70 is accept through acclivity. And 71 to 80 is accursed through accoutrement. And 81 to 90 is accolade through, I think 81 is accolade through Achilles tendon. And I think that 91 to 100 is acknowledge through acrimony. The man at the laundromat was so talkative. He wanted to share all of his views and opinions. Then he tied me up, so now we're 15 minutes late. But nothing's any good. The charities aren't any good. They're all crooks. The post office is no good. They won't be able to handle things anymore. People sit home and order things. We're going to have another glacier period on the Earth, and the moon's no good. And he watches TV a lot, and he gets his information and opinions from TV. And I finally asked him, I said, isn't there something that's good? Isn't the moon good? No, the moon's no good. Social Security's no good. Medicare's no good. Oh, and CEOs of companies are no good. Oh, I endorse that. And I added that courts are no good, lawyers are no good, clerks are no good, judges are no good.
You agree with that?
They didn't comment. So, such a litany of negatives. I said, well, Howard, isn't there something good? But we didn't seem to come across anything. Red Cross is no good. He's a veteran. They asked him to give $4 to paralyzed veterans the way we did. They asked Sandy to give $4 to the Animal Protection Institute the way we did. So it was Howard who made me late for church. And I haven't done my exercises. So what happened yesterday? Well, after church, it was finishing meditation and creation. Meditate and create. And what is meditate and create? It is sitting down and meditating and listening to what God wants you to create. I think that's the reason God creates people, is so they can create. And it was put all up to date. It's all up to date. July 31st to December 18th. That means every day for August, September, October, November, and December to mid-December, the week before Christmas. And that's one part of it, listening and writing. And the next part of it is the think drawer. Now, what is a think drawer? Well, a think drawer is a drawer in which you put things that you want to think about. And this is the think drawer. And it took 2-3 hours to go through every one of these files. They go way back to 1999. And the bottom think drawer. And nothing else got done. But that was a huge, huge accomplishment, bringing to a successful conclusion. But there is the big joy, the big ecstasy. This is the list. You write down what God wants you to do with a day. To-do list, and in what order to do it. It snowed last night. What is this? This is snow number 7. The 7th snowstorm. Marilyn says, I expect my husband to be 20 years from now exactly what he is today. And her friend says, but that's unreasonable. And she says, yes, that's what he is today. And the man came home from work all discouraged and tired and depressed. And his wife says, "What's the matter, dear?" And he says, "Well, at work today, they gave us aptitude tests, and I flunked mine." She says, "Oh, that's terrible." He says, "Yes, it's a good thing I own the company." The teacher said, "What's the plural of goose?" Geese. What's the plural of mouse? Mice. What's the plural of baby? Twins. A man came out of his friend's house and he was carrying a darling Cocker Spaniel puppy in his arms, and he ran into a friend and he said to his friend, "What do you think of this Cocker Spaniel I got from my wife?" And his friend said, "That's not a bad trade." There are so many labor-saving devices on the market today, folks, you have to follow your life to pay for them. A co-ed was asked why did she choose this particular college she was going to, and she said it had the best rating. And the reporter said, "In what way?" And she said, 10 men to 2 girls. The church had a rummage sale, and the woman ran up to the minister, and she says, "Look at all the things I sold." She says, "You see all of those things in that little room over there? I sold every one of them." And the minister said, "Oh no, that's the cloakroom." Dolly says, "I have the most wonderful recipe for casserole." She says, "I just mention it." And my husband says, "Let's go out to eat." A lady said to the artist, she said, "You have the most beautiful colors." She has you use the most beautiful colors. I wish I could take some home with me. And the artist says, "Oh, you will, ma'am. You're sitting on my brushes." Did I ever tell you about the Hollywood extra? He finally got a speaking part in a movie. And here's the scene. The detectives were to say to the Hollywood extra, "Did you see that woman drink that cup of coffee?" And the extra was to say, "I did." So he went home and he practiced all the different ways he could say, "I did, I did, I did, I did." Came time to shoot the scene. The detective said, "Did you see that woman drink that cup of coffee?" And the little extra said, "Did I?" These are the hours and dollars, folks, how you spend your time and how you spend your money. For the week. Here are the statistics on the abominable law-breaking of Charles Dolan. These totals cover 9 years and 1 month from Armistice Day or Veterans Day of 1993 to the middle of December, year 2002. And this week, the odious renewals and Omnibus 14 and having to send the papers again for the 3rd time to David Hort, and the Philadelphia judicial misconduct complaint against Robinson, who let Dolan get by with violating the New York State Business Corporation Law and the Delaware Law of Corporations. This was in the United States District Court in Wilmington. 11 and a half hours against Dolan this week and $17.70. And the total number of hours spent in the last 9 years fighting the law-breaking of Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision is 8,897 hours and $25,154.84. The file is 33,500 pages, 84 volumes, 10 file drawers, 956 mailings, 2,391 lies told by the Dolan gang of gangsters, and You've got the 9 years in 1 month. Does it bother you, Penny, that it's another snowstorm? All this work that I have to do would be a lot easier if I had a desk to do it on. But we've always got to have a cat sitting right under the desk. Okay, what lawsuits are there? New York City Parking Violations Bureau, Public Access, District of Columbia, Street Cleaner, New Rochelle, Crooks, Bruiser Ken, anti-U.S. government gangsters. You remember the Bruiser Ken gang, Edgardo Ramos, and all those people. Bad Landlord, Godfrey South, and Bad Son Mark. Omnibus 4, Omnibus 5, Omnibus 6, Omnibus 7. Omnibus 8, Omnibus 9, Omnibus 10, Omnibus 11, and Omnibus 12. And Omnibus 13 and Omnibus 14 is being written. So that's 15 extant lawsuits. And over here is the list of the omnibus lawsuits, what they were and what they are. Now you have to charge all of the work done this past week against all of these 15 extant lawsuits, the chores, the file paginating hours and dollars, the in-mail, the telephoning, the red and the green calls, the videotaping, the trips to the post office, the errands, the yellow work, maintaining the office, a chat with Glendora postage, which was $62 last week, taking care of the rubbish, car repair, making the masters, making the dubs, the wrapping, the rent, the office rent, and the office electric. All of this has to be charged against these 15 lawsuits. So when you add up all of the hours for the week and divide it by 15, you get 3 hours and $4 to be charged against these lawsuits. Well, here are the omnibus lawsuits. Omnibus 1 was Glendora versus Calabrese, chief judge of the, not the chief judge, but a judge of the Second Circuit. And the bad court is the United States District Court, Arizona, and the bad judge was McNamee. Omnibus 2, Glendora versus Benson, United States District Court, Alaska, bad judge Singleton. And Omnibus number 3, Glendora versus O'Rourke, the bad New Rochelle people, filed in the United States District Court, Buffalo, bad judge Elfin. Omnibus 4, Glendora versus Walker, Chief Judge of the Second Circuit, United States District Court, Hawaii, bad judge, none. They didn't even file it, so they are on a 24-hour luau, the United States District Court in Hawaii. Omnibus 5, Glendora versus the Mount Vernon Police, United States District Court, Wyoming, bad judge Johnson. Omnibus 6, Glendora versus Robinson, United States District Court of the Northern Marianas, bad judge Munson. Omnibus 7, Glendora versus Cunningham, United States District Court, Las Vegas, bad judge Pro. Omnibus 8, United States versus Glendora versus, it is enough to gag your throat. The United States, Omnibus 8, Glendora versus Munson in the United States District Court, Oklahoma, bad judge Friot. Omnibus 9, Glendora versus Michael McCasey, United States District Court, Minnesota. The bad judge on top of bad judge McCasey was Michael Davis and Jonathan Lebedoff. Omnibus 10, Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan, United States District Court, Cleveland, bad judge, Patricia Gahn. Omnibus 11, United States, Glendora versus Walker, again, John Walker, the Chief Judge of the Second Circuit, and Hogan, the Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. It was filed in Charleston, West Virginia. The bad judge there was Copenhaver and Stanley. Glendora versus Friot. It was filed in the United States District Court, Atlanta, and the bad judge there, I don't know, he hasn't been assigned, but a dumb magistrate named Schofield recommended that it be dismissed. That's frivolous. Yes, violating the Constitution of the United States, that's frivolous, isn't it? That's the cause of action. So, to each of these lawsuits, we add 3 hours and $4, and plus the 8th Circuit, Hansen, Omnibus 9, Michael Davis, and the bad magistrate, we add 3 hours and $3. New York City parking violations that cost 1,035 and a half hours, $2,821. Public access in the District of Columbia, breaking the laws, has cost 882 hours and $3,498. The New Rochelle cops and Edward Everett, the street cleaner who was driving like a drunk and hit the 1980 Lincoln, that has cost 559 and a half hours, $2,443. The Bruiser Ken, since the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, has cost 206 and a half hours and $1,459. The bad landlord in Mount Vernon, Godfrey South, and bad son Mark South have cost 846 and a half hours and $6,993.06. Omnibus 4 has cost 620 hours and $1,620. Omnibus 5, 470 and a half hours and $1,790. Omnibus 6, 436 hours, $1,248. Omnibus 7, $1,673 and $1,673 hours, $447.99. Omnibus 8 has cost 864 and a half hours, $939.62. Omnibus 9, 449 hours and $2,970. Omnibus 10, 400 and a half hours and $1,488. Omnibus 11, 813 and a quarter hours, $1,171. Omnibus 12 has cost 168 hours and $348. Omnibus 13 has cost 173 and a half hours and $472.48. Folks, we had two wonderful conversations this morning. God, you create great people, let me tell you. One was Peggy Daddick in Florida, telling me about the violations to an American named Bill Budrow by a collection of gangsters in Memphis, Tennessee. And the other one is a conversation with Bill Houston in the Binghamton area, Binghamton, New York. This man is so bright, And he's so articulate, and he has such a beautiful voice. And he's such a champion of public access. I consider him a treasure, and I'd like to have you hear this conversation. Just happened.
Got that on this part of the virus. Hold on one second.
This is Peggy. Up comes Bill next.
Just call, but to make a long story short, he's fine. Oh, good for you, Peggy. Boy, that was smart. Oh, that was so smart. You take care. You too. God bless both of you. You're the same. Bye. Okay, bye-bye.
Well, I mean, I was watching your show last week, and your depth of knowledge of the law and of civil procedure and of, I mean, the way you're going after these judges. I mean, I think that, I mean, you must understand civil procedure more than most lawyers, you know, from what I can see.
Did I read you that what the judge wrote about that? He said almost the same thing you just said. Here, I'll read it for you.
I can't, I mean, we've got this whole orderly system of law, but basically, because it's so complex and the ordinary layperson just can't wade their way through it, basically the judges get away with whatever they want.
Oh, no, that's not the case at all. It is not complicated. It's very, very simple. What makes it complicated is the judges and the lawyers. So that is in itself a crime. Here's what a judge wrote in the City Court of Rye, State of New York, County of Westchester. The court notes that plaintiff Glendora enjoys quite a reputation as both a public access talk show hostess and a peripatetic plaintiff pro se.
What's peripatetic?
Like error. I'll tell you later. In fact, after separating the seed from the shaft, not always an easy task when reviewing plaintiff's papers, the court concludes that she is as well versed in the applicable law herein as many, if not most, members of the bar. Peripatetic was what Aristotle was. He went from place to place teaching. He went from this tree to that tree. The peripatetic school of philosophy is the Aristotelian school, and that's how he taught. He went from place to place.
Wow.
You could probably call Jesus Christ peripatetic too, because he went from place to place, walking, teaching. And that's what it comes from. It comes from the Latin word foot.
What a marvelous compliment you were paid with that.
Yeah, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Biggest victory this last week, I believe, is that I made the Third Circuit topple completely, get down on their knees. I had several cases before the Third Circuit.
In New York?
No, the Third Circuit is the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit is headquartered in Philadelphia.
Okay.
First Circuit is in Boston. Second Circuit's in New York. Third Circuit's in Philadelphia. The fourth is in Atlanta. The fifth is in New Orleans. The sixth is in Cincinnati. The seventh is in Chicago. The eighth is in St. Louis. The ninth is in San Francisco. And the 10th is in Denver. The 11th is where? Where is the 11th Circuit? I think that's the end of them. There is an 11th Circuit. Where is it? Oh. Atlanta. Did I mention Atlanta? I said fourth is in Richmond, I should have said. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't think I did. And the 11th is in Atlanta. Anyhow, the Third Circuit is just as corrupt as possible, and they ignored pro se work, they ignored the law, they ignored the Constitution, they did everything that all of them do. And so every time they did it, I would file a complaint about the judge in the lower court. It's called the Judicial Misconduct Complaint, Title 372, Section C1, Misconduct and Disability. Judicial Misconduct and Disability. And so I filed two against the chief judge of the Third Circuit because the complaints about the lower judges go up to the chief judge, and all the chief judge does is collude and cover up and just as bad as the other. just covers up for them. And so, and I really, it's quite sizzling, the papers. They are really vituperative, and they're real obloquies. And so finally they got down on their knees and they're going, told Glendora to show cause why she should be allowed to file any more judicial misconduct complaints. So, you know, it's terrific. It's a great victory.
Wow.
Because they ran away. And
I didn't hear that last part. What did they say? They said that you, what about, you should be able to continue to file them?
they said, Glendora, he issued a so-called order, the Chief Judge, Becker. He's saying, Glendora, show cause why you should not be allowed to file any more judicial misconduct and disability complaints.
What, they're trying to say that you should not be able to file any more of these?
They're not trying to say it, they've said it. Yeah, I showed cause.
Oh, okay.
And I showed cause for 20 pages. And I said right outright that this was a great victory for Glendora.
Wow.
Because I didn't run away, they did. And so I thought it was a terrific victory.
You were talking about that case on the last show that was aired here, or one of your judicial misconduct. My wife and I got a pretty good laugh when it said there was a line in there that said, have you ever filed another judicial misconduct case? And you said yes, and it said, please list the details here. You said something like, you mentioned the number, and it was a very large number, and you said, look it up in this database.
Yeah, the Pacer.
And Pacer, right. Go look it up.
And, they did. And they came up with the figure 19. I said, oh, come now, there's more than 19 bad judges. In the United States. I said, that figure's way low. So they were using it against me. And so, it's really something, isn't it?
Your knowledge of the system and judicial procedure and civil procedure is just unfathomable to me. I just can't imagine ever knowing what you know.
Oh, yes, you will. Because you're very smart. One who is the great leader in this, the archetype of this, is a fellow named George McDermott in Maryland, who lost his skating rink business to a bunch of crooks who scampered to the bankruptcy court and knew insiders there. And George followed all the legal procedures. And he was a whiz at it. And he's fought them now for, I believe, 13 years. And he's currently in the United States Supreme Court with them. And his story is really something. It's huge, but it would take a lifetime to read it. However, I do spend 15 minutes a day on it.
The one guy that I studied the law a little
that's the first thing they do. Oh, can we corrupt it?
I can't believe what they're doing with the 521 cases. You know, they're basically, you know, they've got a federal law on the books, but they are very commonly denying people standing under the law. It's like, why have a law on the books if the people can't bring a lawsuit under the law?
Yeah, that's pretty bad, but you gotta fight them. And eventually you win. Of course, the TV is the great thing that they can't do much about. Of course, they mangle. But the TV, having it exposed on TV, they can't do much about that. That really gets them.
How many shows, how many different places around the country, cable systems do you?
Oh, 36.
36, wow.
Yeah, and I'm on my 3,486 show.
Now, do you have an archive of all of your old tapes?
I have them since 1998.
Since 98, you've got
Yes, I have archives since 1998.
That is marvelous. I hope that you get your, I forget what you called it, but your trust set up.
Oh, the Living Trust, yes.
Living Trust set up.
Yeah, well, we're working hard on that to protect the museum and to protect this record. Yeah.
I just feel that, I mean, it's taken you know, your lifetime to develop this. I look at it, you know, when I watch your show and I see all those boxes and boxes all around you, you know, where you live.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I mean, what a, that needs to be preserved for future generations to go through and study what you know. If I can help out with that, I would gladly, you know, donate whatever I can to that cause.
Is that so? That's interesting. Because the person who's going to preserve it is Brad Sachs. He's 47, and you say you're 45?
I'm 40, this year I'll be 42.
42, that's 5 years. We want, of course, a successor to Brad. Or if Brad becomes disabled, we need a successor trustee. I wanted to try to find somebody who had this impulse, who was somewhere in the 20s, to give us another generation up on it.
Right.
That you might, if you'd be so kind, keep in mind.
I sure will. I mean, there's so few people that I know of that are, you know, really have this kind of passion for this, but, you know, perhaps maybe set up like a little board of trustees, 4 or 5 people, and set up a little, you know, a charter that, you know, whenever one person...
That's what we're doing. That's what the Living Trust document is.
Right.
Franklin and I are the initial trustees, and Sachs is the successor trustee. Sachs is a lawyer, by the way, the only lawyer I like. And I've known him since 1983. And then we've got to have a successor to Sachs, and what you're suggesting is a board, but, okay, a board is good, but actually all we need is one person who...
One person that follows the charter and keeps the charter.
Well, one person who is as passionately, to use your good word, to preserve this record as we are.
Right. It would be marvelous to somehow...
You would be good.
It would be marvelous to put it in a building like a library, and that's what index it so that people could do research.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We have it, and the building is what you see right here. We hope to preserve this.
Yeah.
As is. Along with the 2 old Lincolns, the 1980 Lincoln and the 1993 Lincoln. To preserve the museum intact, as it is, just as you see it on TV. You see what I'm saying? In other words, the rent is $725 a month.
Oh, yeah, just keep on paying the rent at that apartment, sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was the idea, to leave it as is. You know, I've always thought if Beethoven ever had enough money to do that, or ever had a person who would do it for him, what a wonderful thing that would be today, to see where he was when he composed all these great symphonies and concerti.
Oh, yeah.
I've always thought that, wouldn't that be nice? And if Sir Isaac Newton had such a place, you know, wouldn't that be great for the public to walk in? Not something that's reconstructed 2-3 centuries later after they become masters, but...
I don't know if you probably, you have such a vast library, you probably know that one already.
I heard, you want to hear another rendition of that?
Sure.
That this the gravekeeper, I don't get it. Oh, and every one of them was being played backwards. And he said to the gravedigger, I don't get it. All these symphonies are being played in the reverse order in which they were written, and they're all being played backwards. And the gravedigger said, don't you get it? He's decomposing. I've heard it in that way. That's good. That's very good. Okay, Bill.
Okay, Glendora.
So Bill Houston is a very special person, as I say. For those who tuned in late, this is Bill Houston in Binghamton, New York. And he has a very, very interesting mind. And he's articulate, and he's doing what is right, and he's doing good things. And so I'm glad to introduce you to Bill Houston. This is Glendora, Chat with Glendora. Okay, now this is Oscar Kamitson, and he was seriously wounded at work, and he's never got compensation for that. And he's fought and fought and fought and he fought. He's fought dirty judges and dirty hearing officers and dirty insurance companies and dirty lawyers. Insurance company, whenever the insurance company denies anything, the insurance company says off the record. They don't want you to know that they deny.
You keep saying, I object. How did they shut you up? They tell me, say one more word, you're out of here. And they already threw me in at 2 hearings. Put my license in record. That's a denial. Again, that's not true. You know, that's a denial of due process. Denying your due process. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oscar Kamitson. I told him that. I said, one day I'll dial this number and be lucky enough to get you. And now, folks, I present to you Pat Brady, Patricia Brady, Staten Island. And I wanted to know what stars and planets I see in the morning at 5 o'clock.
Same again. I see Venus first, and then Jupiter. Yeah, I think that Saturn is second. Because Jupiter... Well, no, it is Jupiter. Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn's up higher, I think. I don't
Conway is going after the judge who denied his rights. Donald McFord is going after the municipality that wrongfully arrested him. So give them credit. Those conversations are on here. Elizabeth Gary served a long time on the jury, 6 weeks or so, and she thought it was very interesting, and she thought that she was doing good, and she told me all about the trial. It was assault. They denied the robbery charge, and carrying a weapon. So she thought that was very interesting. Elizabeth Gary, she's on the board of deacons of the First Presbyterian Church in Levittown. The deacon speaking. Remember those newsletters I read to you? Let's see what else is happening. Brian Graceman told me that he got a Christmas card from Roger Minor, a judge on the Second Circuit, U.S. Court of Appeals, Manhattan, and that Roger Minor comes from Hudson, New York. The appellate term, Supreme Court, 9th and 10th Judicial Districts, has not received any motion from Godfrey South or Mark South that they're going to file a brief, and they haven't filed a brief. And on the second case that Glendora has in the appellate term, Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision, the brief has to be perfected in March sometime. March. When are you going to have an oral argument and have these things resolved? Oh, we don't know, 5 to 6 months. Now that's not right to the public. I keep saying to you that you should be able to go to court and you should be able to get justice in the same day. Marilyn said, I expect my husband to be the same 20 years from now that he is today. And her friend says, that's unreasonable. And Marilyn says, yes, that's what he is today. And Jerry came home from work dejected, and his wife says, what's the matter? And Jerry said they had aptitude tests in work today, and I flunked mine. His wife says, dreadful, and Jerry says, yeah, it's a good thing I own the company. What's the plural of geese? The teacher asked. Rather excused. What's the plural of goose? The teacher asked. Geese. What's the plural of mouse? Mice. What's the plural of baby? Twins. A man came from a friend, and he had adopted this adorable Cocker Spaniel puppy, and he's holding the puppy in his arms, and he encounters another friend of his, and he says to his friend, what do you think of this Cocker Spaniel puppy I got from my wife? And his friend said, that's not a bad trade. And there's so many labor-saving devices on the market today that you have to work all your life to pay for them. And the reporter asked the co-ed why she chose this particular college, and she said because it has a high rating. And the reporter says, what kind of a rating? And she said, 10 boys to 2 girls. The church was having a rummage sale, and a woman walked over to the minister and said, look, look, look. We're doing so well. She says, you see everything in that little room over there? You see everything in that room? She says, I sold everything in that room. And the minister said, not so good, that's the cloakroom. Dorothy says, I have the most wonderful recipe for